on, guys? Another Gamer 808 here. Hope you guys are doing well today. Welcome to the Noah Nation podcast. I am your host, Snow the Gamer 808. Today, we're going to be talking about Nintendo Switch Sports. Just for this podcast for today, I'm going to be sticking to one podcast every episode that I do on here on YouTube live in front of you guys. So yeah, but hope everyone is doing well on your Friday. It's Good Friday, so yeah, hope everyone is doing well. But yeah, we're gonna be doing we're gonna be talking about Nintendo Switch Sports. It's supposed to be coming out sometime, I think, this month, so I don't know when it's supposed to be coming out, but I could probably check. But I got some articles that I'm probably going to go over that we'll discuss about it when we do wrap up our podcast for today. So let me find it. See what day it's supposed to come out. Let me check. Actually, it's supposed to be released April 29th, so by the end of the month. So yeah, by the end of the month, it's supposed to come out. Yep, April 29th. So mark that on your calendars, guys, if you guys want to go and see it. So, hold on. Just got something. Oh, Nightbot's working. Awesome. I'm glad it's working. I think it only works when I'm not live, I think. So I'm glad it's working. So I'm happy about that. So let's start it off. Nintendo Switch Sports is a more iteration than innovation, but that's not a bad thing. But yeah, these are just all the details that I will be going over in the podcast today. I'm going to be reading all the articles, and I'll discuss about it, and then we'll wrap it up. But we're just going to read for the articles and see what details you guys are going to be looking forward to Nintendo Switch Sports. So, here we go. How do we top one of the most played video games of all time? Apparently, for Nintendo, the answer was simply, you stick on the strip. While the world has changed dramatically since 2006, based on our hands-on, Nintendo's approach on sport hasn't. Let me pop out my chat, actually, so I can read it while I am doing this. So yeah, I'm just gonna probably move it over here. But how to top the most played video games of all time? Okay, I read that. The first thing that's clear that I got go hands and go legs on the long-waiting sequel. That is that this is more modern beast than its Wii organizer. Dropping the iconic mist for expensive Pokemon trainer Ezekiel avatars. Each sport takes place in surprising detailed new locals, complete with the accepted online mods, which they show right here. You got volleyball, Vladimir. I don't know what this sport's supposed to be, but looks like this is kind of like a leaked details of all the sports that are going to be in the game. Vladimir, I don't know what that sport's supposed to be. Volleyball, I'm pretty familiar with that one. Bowling, of course, that's a classic. It's been on the Wii Sports for a while, so yeah, bowling, I'm not really surprised. You got tennis, which I did that in the beta test that came out. And then you got Chambara. Chambara is not one of my favorites, but I might get better at it in the long run. So Chambara you got, and then you got football, which is soccer, basically. And there's going to be a lot of other modes that are actually been leaked recently that I will be talking about in the next article. Housed in the sprawling Spaco Square, a sports facility that feels like a slightly Dosomodan recreation center. The Switch's new setting is impressively glitzy, if that's how it's pronounced. I'm sorry, guys. From the water features enduring court backgrounds to persistently polished floors and G-less underfoot, Nintendo has put a surprising amount of effort into the visuals that ties together the simplistic sporting sim. Still, in the 2 hours I spent playing the motion-controlled multiplayer Outgoing, Nintendo Switch Sports proves that the core premise hasn't lost its motion-controlled magic. The top tier factor of tennis, bowling, and sword fighting make a welcome return, feeling just as fun as they were at the Christmas mornings with hungover relatives. Thankfully, there is a sprinkling of innovation amongst all the iterations, as well as the old classics. Nintendo has created 3 new athletic additions to the roster: football, badmissions, which I don't know what that mode is, and volleyball. Badminton is up first, but it's better, much of my surprise. The racket sport feels precisely distinctive from tennis, combining simple motion control movements with the added aggression of drop shots, power shots, and resulting in a peacefully, high competitive, high game modes. The next up is a never new addition, volleyball. The Olympic favorite feels arguably the most unique of the Switch exclusive sports. Built entirely around teamwork, you will need to plan your attacks around 4 main tenets: the serve, bump, the set, and the spike. The ability to block shots by raising your hand gives you the ability to fake out your opponents, too, adding a welcoming layer of strategy potential to mind games to matches. 2. Adding a welcome layer of strategy and potential mind games to matches. Pays to be in sync with your partner here, too. If your teammate nails the timing, the perfect setup can result in your super spike and powered spike that sends the ball hurtling towards the floor of your opponent's court. Next up is Wii Sports Resort's favorite, sword fighting, renamed Chambra. The dueling minigame sees 2 players balanced on a Cobra Kai. I like how it says Cobra Kai in this article. Cobra Kai Izuku plate perched on top of the pool of water. The goal: to knock out your foe off said stage into the water. Feels like the Wii lightsaber game. I like how they say lightsaber because that reminds me of Star Wars. So that's kind of funny how they added it in this article from Game Rant. I'm just trying to find where I'm at. The Joy-Cons and Sure Strikes feels fluid and accurate. The capabilities, motion. Bizarrely, the whole setting of these water top duels sees you surrounded by desk, houseplants, a suspiciously business-like bar. And actually, you're not. Nintendo's developers have nailed the feeling of dueling in a WiiWork, much like the fake-out possible in volleyball. The added motion precision allows you to bait your opponents into lowering the guard. Each round becomes an increasingly tense game of chicken as you and your opponent attempt to read the other moves. From the mix of blocks and horizontal, diagonal, vertical strikes with the choice of great attack swords or heavily swords, adding more pleased depth to processing. And yeah, it just talks about in the age of virtual reality has pushed perfectly motion control. According to the Synthic thrust and swipes of Oldfield quite quanti. Still, the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons are far more responsive, beast when the waggy wheel modes, resulting in less frustration and more nosh when it comes to curveballs, minin destructive inputs. Bowling is a great example of this, with improved motion sensing of the Joy-Cons, allowing you to add a satisfying amount of spin to each bowl. Last up is a never newcomer, football. I found this is the most surprising of the new game modes, largely down to its complete infinity, where the other sports showcase all do their best to add their inspirations. Football dishes the realism of what is essentially budget Rocket League. I like how they say budget Rocket League. That is kind of funny. Budget Rocket League. That's kind of hilarious. Here and up to 4 players run around in small pitch pursuing a galactic ball. As expected, the C players taking full control of their avatar, using the analog stick to run around the pitch and flick of the right Joy-Con to shoot. While perfectly serviceable, I couldn't make the feeling that I'd rather be playing Rocket League. Still not without two merits. The highlight of this is pretty bizarre mode is driving header animation, where flicking both Joy-Cons silently sees your players soar through the air, flopping anonymously to the ground like a margin carp chucked into a football pitch. Football sub-mode shootout fair is a bit better. The fair looks a little bit more sees you donning the right flick leg strap. Using the full power of your leg to launch the ball into the back of the net. It's a nice touch, and most successfully you are at penalties, the smaller the goal becomes, adding a nice bit of rubber banding to processings, keeping things tense despite the skill gap. Tennis again feels largely identical, but as the old stage says, if I ain't broke, don't ruin it. Predictably, it's the racket sport that requires the most incursion, with the series of intense tennis and badminton matches starting out to work up a suite. Increasingly, what I've seen at the game isn't the be-all, end-all, with the game receiving the free update post-launches, including the addition of the entire new sport, golf. Overall, I had a blast during my brief time with Switch Sports. The only complaint is seemingly lack of modes for solo players. I told that the playing online will allow you to further customize your shiny new avatar with new cosmetic items and character customizations, unlocking via online matches. Bowling will also feature a 12-player online tournament mode, which was unavailable to test during my demo. While online games will help give lonely players something to do, the lack of any kind of league mode or score attack scene. It's a baffling omission in a release that is taking almost 20 years to arrive. Still at heart, Nintendo Switch Sports looks to set and achieve same mission where they originated all of these years ago, to get families grinning and failing around the TV together. Nintendo Switch Sports launches on April 29th, but for now, and why not check out the other upcoming Switch games to add to your wish list. So this is the first article we went through, which I wanted to share this since I got an email from Game Rant about it, so I wanted to add it to one of the topics instead of reading for all the two. And this also comes from also as well. Let me pull up my chat here. But yeah, this is also another thing I found as well about. I'm going to pull this a little bit down so I can see it. So also as well, these are also leaks that I found as well about golf coming to the Nintendo Switch Sports game. And I think baseball, will be added to the list. But yeah, golf's supposed to be added, but what I've heard, I'm heard that there'll be baseball possibly added, but I know golf is going to be added, but I would love to see baseball and boxing get added because those are classic Wii sports games that they could come to the Nintendo Switch Sports, which I would really like that because I would be on Nintendo Switch Sports as my exercise machine that I can work out almost every day if I have to. If it was a really hot day, if it was raining, if it was really cold outside that I can't really work out, that's definitely the thing. So, Nintendo Switch Sports is a highly anticipated sequel to the Wii Sports. Fans of the iconic series are wondering what will card up over the original. The theme may be in which the Switch will return. One thing that definitely won't be coming to Nintendo Switch Sports immediately is golf. Nintendo Switch Sports is coming to the end of April 2022, with Nintendo's revealing more and more information about the game leading up to the launch. Fans have been getting a closer look at Nintendo Switch Sports' future location, online multiplayer competitions, and new accessories. Most importantly, Nintendo has announced the 6 games that will be game upon release, but golf isn't among them. There are 6 games including a Nintendo Switch Sports when the game comes out on April 29th, 2022. List includes badminton, bowling, Kambara, soccer, tennis, and volleyball. Some of the games should be familiar to players of the original Wii Sports, but all the sports in Nintendo Switch Sports should feel unique given to the difference in technology between the Wii Remote and the Switch Joy-Con. Will Nintendo Switch Sports have golf? Nintendo Switch Sports will not have golf at launch, but it should be arriving later this year as part of an update. Hardcore Wii Sports fans probably will notice that a fan favorite is missing. Where is golf? Nintendo has reassured players that golf will be included, just not right away. So, in a future update, guys, so just bear with the game that does actually come out, because you're not going to expect to have golf. But hopefully in this update that Nintendo Switch Sports comes out, that they hopefully can add golf and maybe baseball and boxing, because those are the 2 iconic sports in the Wii Sports game. But yeah, I will discuss about my thoughts and opinions on this, and then I'll give you guys all the details. But yeah, these are all the details that is going to be in the game when you first play the game. These are all the modes. I got soccer, tennis, volleyball, Chambara, bowling, and badminton. I don't know what badminton is. I'll have to figure that out when I do get the game pretty soon on launch, so I can play it. So let's go to our final article here. Pull up the chat here. So far, 2022 isn't just a stellar year for video games. It is a triumphant return for single-player games, from Horizon Forbidden West to Pokemon Legends Arceus. The first quarter of the year was loaded with strong experiences for one. Even games like Elden Ring, Kirby of the Forbidden Land, which features multiplayer components, are similar to solo adventures first, which more major single-player games like Starfield on tap for 2022. The field is wide open for the surprise multiplayer hit. Nintendo Switch Sports may just be that game. The unlikely successor to the 2000 Switch mega popular Wii Sports lands on Switch on April 29th. It is looking to recapture the lighting in a bottle. This new establishment is more than a nostalgic cash grab, though. It is a surprising robust modernization of the 16-year-old classic that has a much stronger focus on multiplayer, both online and locally. I participated in an in-person Nintendo Switch Sports demo where I got to try out all of the 6 activities that will be available in the game at launch. As I briefly trash talked a room full of Nintendo demonetists, I already making a mental list of all my friends I invited over to play with me this spring. Pop Party Grandpa versus the Boy. For the demo event, Nintendo put together the most living room and had free demotas on hand. The team walked me through one of the game's 6 sports, though I have played variations of each. Nintendo Switch Sports is a little larger in scope that looks on paper, as some sports have multiple modes. In soccer, for example, there's shootout modes that involved wearing a Joy-Con leg strap and a 3-minute match where players run around a field. Usually reserved as past events, I instantly became a terror. The game allows players to customize our own sportsmate. A modern spin on this, which includes create a title for them that appears over the name. I insisted that my demotion changes his title to Party Grandpa from then on. I was trash-talking machine nicknamed the Boy, ready for some friendly competition. The rivalry between the Party Grandpa and the Boy quickly became as heated as Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. It began with the after-motion soccer shootout, where we took over kicking a ball into a net, which would get smaller than one of the use consecutive goals. Hold on, I gotta cough for a minute. All right, sorry about that. So back to what I was saying is, where were we? Okay, I started the day with the victory, but it was back and forth from there. We had an intense game of bad missions with long valleys and me sweating. I lost the round and unfortunately couldn't blame it on the motion controls, which were perfectly responsive. I got the ultimate victory in Charmba. The standard sword fighting minigame has players blocking and attacking by position, the Joy-Con vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. The goal is to knock from other players off a platform into a water below. The goal is to knock... Okay, I read that. It was a flittering rubber match, acting as more strategic versions of boxing. Party Grandpa and the Boy went back and forth, trading wins, leading to a sudden death final where the platform struck sufficiently. Grandpa came out swinging into fast attack and blocked and countered a pull-off to the win. Each of those sports was a blast to play with another player physically present. After 2 of the years of gaming with friends digitally, it's almost a forgotten now fun a great local multiplayer party title can be. It's hard to replicate the unique joys of joking around with other players and trading friendly barbs in person. The original Wii Sports understood the power of the experience, and Nintendo Switch Sports only doubles down with the strong competitive modes fueled by intrusive motion controls. In addition to one-on-one events, Nintendo Switch Sports has several 4-player mini-games in both tennis and volleyball. Up to 4 players can compete in matches. Tennis is simply enough, with players swinging back and forth to executive front and back hard shots while their sportsmates auto-move towards the ball. Volleyball is more complex spin that requires extra teamwork. Players need to master several physical movements to bump set or spike the ball. In the round, I played Papa Grandpa, and I put the difference aside and teamed up to become the modern-day Mega Powers. Gramps would pop the ball up in the air, letting the jump and spiking into my opponents. Soccer is assembly involved as players run around a large field trying to score as many goals as possible. in 3 minutes. There are several motions used to hit the ball, like shooting both Joy-Cons forward to do driving header and a bit of cinema magnet. It's almost like mini Rocket League, minus the cars. Okay, I guess that's just called soccer. While the team games get much more complex, the Wii Sports mini-games of one of its classic sports still seeks to show bowling is back through this time, for players can roll silently instead of taking turns. Round goes by much quicker as players don't need to wait around while their three people bowl. That aspect makes the most appealing game in Bunch from the multiplayer standpoint. With its incredible simple yet satisfies motion controls, I already see how the mode would be absolute at its social gatherings. During my playtime, I appreciate the range of challenges that the game presents. Volleyball had me playing more strategically and communicating with my teammates, while I could chat with domestics while bowling a strike. Wii Sports kept everything simple, courting a casual audience that wasn't familiar with the games, but Nintendo Switch Sports supports a variety of levels of skill. I can't wait to see the first Switch Soccer Esports League going online. Okay, this is the last part of it. The most exciting and potentially terrifying part of Nintendo Switch Sports that it features a heavy online multiplayer component. I say terrifying things about Nintendo's reputation for stable online experience is spotty at best, but in the theory, I could give the package a long lifespan. But I didn't test online playing during my session. Nintendo made it clear that it isn't a throwaway integration. For one, players will earn cosmetic items during online matches, used to customize their sports mates. It sounds like that includes some of the limited part items that players will need to sign in the specific window to grab online players, and get a few extra modes too, including the elimination style bowling tournament, which I imagine will take up the bulk of my solo playtime. With content updates planned for the year, including a fall DLC that adds golf to the game, I see Nintendo Switch Sports blossoming into the late lifespan of Switch staple. My hour with the game reminded me of many fell in love with Wii Sports in 2006. It's an ultimately multiplayer game and joyless, intuitive experience that takes down all the frustrations of barriers usually present in video games. I hope for the friends and mentally prepare for the touch, but the boy, I invited them over to play this spring. Nintendo Switch Sports launches on April 29th for, you guessed it, Nintendo Switch. So, now I'm going to talk about my thoughts about it. So, I'm going to close, restore my chat here. But I'm going to close. I'm going to stop sharing. So, I'm going to close all the articles here that I pulled up. So, my thoughts on Nintendo Switch Sports. I think it's going to be a really great game. I'm pretty excited that it's going to be really good for Nintendo Switch fans. I'm pretty excited. I've played the Wii Sports game before, but I think the only things I probably would ask Nintendo to do, if they could add a mode where you can play boxing, bowling, and baseball, which those are the modes that should be added in the later future updates for the game. But they're not going to come out on launch when the game comes out. But I think in later updates, I think they will add those modes in future updates for the game when it comes out. But yeah, set your reminder on April 29th when that game does come out on Nintendo Switch. It will be on Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch OLED, Nintendo Switch Lite. So it will be on all the Nintendo Switch platforms. So if you guys do want to pick that game up, I think it's $60 in the Nintendo Wii Shop. Not Nintendo Wii Shop. Nintendo Switch eShop. So be sure to go and check it out. Pre-order it. Go and check it out. And definitely pick it up. It is definitely worth it. I think that's pretty much it for the podcast here. But yeah, just go pick up the game. It is definitely worth it. And I have tried the beta before. It was absolutely pretty fun, but I think the Mii characters could really change. Hopefully they can add like a mode where you can customize your Mii character and you're just a regular character that you're going to be playing as and customize it basically. But I really like that. I think that would be great for Nintendo Switch Sports if they could do that. But anyways, I hope you guys definitely did enjoy this podcast for the day. I will be doing another podcast for episode 20. We're already into 19 episodes already. This is absolutely amazing. But yeah, I hope you guys got all the information that you can get from Nintendo Switch Sports online. Hopefully they'll add maybe a single player because I would really like to see a single player. But yeah, that is going to do it for this podcast for the day. But in episode 20, I will be talking about some Twitch strategies and stuff of how getting recommended on Twitch. I will be talking that in my next podcast in episode 20. So if you guys do want to get as much advice from that podcast, be sure to come and also tune in. Also, guys, if you guys do want to come and check me out on Twitch, I will be streaming on there at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. I will be doing Fortnite. So if you guys do want to come and check out my Twitch stream, it should be in my bio. It should be in my bio on the YouTube channel links. So it's like the first link you click on. So yeah, go and click that on the channel. I do have a link popped up for Nightbot. So if you do want to come and check out my Twitch for live gameplay, definitely come and check out my Twitch. We live stream 4 days a week. We stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So if you guys do want to come and check me out, go and do that. It would be so much appreciated if you guys can come and check me out. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my podcast. Hope you guys got all the information, and I will see you guys in the next podcast.